Does this sound familiar to you? U, re, mi, fa, sol, la. Now, the third note, mi, in Latin, mira gestorum. Now, in English, that literally translates to miracle. The frequencies and tones that we use when we meditate are extremely important to the progress that we make concerning the goals of our meditation, what we're trying to accomplish. So I've always been a musician. I've always been drawn to frequencies and tones. And early in my musical career, I found that there were certain tones that affected me in great ways and also affected other people. So along with the original musical scale, there are the solfeggios. Now the solfeggios date way back and are actually referenced in the Bible. So these 6 notes of the solfeggio, by which the hymn of St. John the Baptist was sung, see, that was known as the most spiritually uplifting hymn of all ages. And the third note of that scale, remember, mi, which translates to miracle, that tone is specifically 528 hertz. So when I found this out, I began to think of music and tone on a whole nother level. And I really started to dive deep into the magic, the actual magic of frequency and vibration. Now, if you paid attention to anything online, I'm sure you've heard the quote by Nikola Tesla. And he states that we must think in terms of frequencies and vibration. Now, when I learned that 528 hertz was such a special number and vibrational frequency, I really started to think it was something special. And I really started to dive deep and try my best to understand why music is the way it is. Now, to quote a little bit from the Bible, this is not a religious video. Listen to this. The book of Isaiah, the Old Testament, 22:22, and the book of Revelation, 36-8. This talks in the hidden times about an angel coming with a miraculous key that opens doors that no man can close, and closed doors that no man can open. Now we have solid evidence, massive amounts of evidence of what 528 hertz actually is. So it turned out when we discovered the actual musical scale, instead of 6, there were 9. And the first 6 are from the solfeggio. And the last 3 additional notes form a perfect circle of sound. That blew me away when I learned that. Now, the perfect circle of sound looks like this. The other note that you see, 741, which is part of nature, is called the devil's interval in musicology. And then, so it's said that when you play 741 hertz together with 528 hertz, it creates such an annoying dissonant tone and energy. It can be so displeasing, stressful, that you could actually perish. After continuous listening to this tone, it can drive you mad, into fits of hysteria. Now, this is very interesting when you think in terms of population control, the agenda of the most powerful. You see, I think that they've held this secret for a very long time. And this secret of frequency, this ancient hidden knowledge, could have been how the pyramids were formed, how populations have been controlled over millennia. All of the universe is constructed of these 9 notes. Now, I think it's very interesting to note that the Rockefeller Foundation in 1939, I believe, instituted the world's first tuning. The tuning of the world. Now, the Western world at 440 hertz. Now, what does this have to do with meditation? Well, during meditation, we can also use these frequencies to create and build our life from the inside out. Because don't get mistaken, you are a spiritual being having a temporary human experience. This vessel will perish, but the consciousness, the energy, the vibration is eternal. It cannot be destroyed. Energy cannot be created, and it cannot be destroyed. It can only be transmuted. This is why transmutation during meditative practices is absolutely key when building ourselves into an exceptional human being. If you want help and guidance, learning how to tap into the inner spiritual self, I've created a free meditation. It's right there in the description. It's called My Inner Sanctuary Meditation. It's free. I'll pin it to the comments. I'll leave it in the description. Grab it, download it. You have now a choice with this knowledge. Will you remain in dissonance, or will you literally vibe to a new song? You can create your own reality, but it takes the step of courage to go within. You have to face yourself. You will be challenged. You will have to see things that you have pushed deep into your subconscious. And breaking through those barriers is truly what will make you a better human being. All of the tips, all of the tricks that you can learn on YouTube that externally help you, they will help you. But the truth is, if you do not handle the core self, they will rise again and take away all of that work you've done on the external world. I know this from experience. I did this for years. I thought that working out, eating good, learning how to have excellent social skills was going to help me in the long run. It did a little bit, but I never handled the internal self. All those things, limiting beliefs, childhood traumas, all of that has to be handled from the inside out. If we allow them to just be, they will continue to rule our lives, and we will not be able to dance to the song of life. Now, I always like to put it like this because I come from a musical background, and I love this analogy. If you are attempting to play the song of life, your body is the instrument. How do we tune this instrument? This is very well known, and anybody that's a musician, you cannot play on an instrument that is out of tune. So how do we tune the instrument? The chakras, the 7 chakras, are the tuning keys. We can tune each one of those chakras, clearing blocks, clearing traumas, stagnant energy. Once we handle that, it's easy for us to play the song of life on this instrument. I hope that makes sense. Drop in the comments if you think that makes sense, or if you have something else to add to that. My musician friends out there, drop in the comments, man. I love hearing y'all's thoughts. Without the knowledge of the frequencies, the solfeggios, we wouldn't have circles. We wouldn't have squares. The pyramids, sacred geometry. You see, the pyramids are innately constructed based on the mathematics of pi, phi. You wouldn't have pi or phi without 528 hertz. In other words, you wouldn't have anything. The universe would not exist. That frequency, that vibration, carries universally throughout everything. When you play or sing 528 hertz, this flows across universes, affecting the hearts of all human beings and everything else. This is so important when it comes to heart and brain coherence by Dr. Dispenza. He talks about that a lot. I want to read you a quote from Dr. Dispenza, and I really want you to think about this in terms of vibration and frequency. It's a scientific fact that the hormones of stress downregulate genes and create disease long term. Affects human beings because of the size of the neocortex. We can turn on the stress response just by thought alone, just by thought alone. Think about those problems and turn on those chemicals. That means that our thoughts, which are vibration, can make us sick. But that also means that if it's possible for thought alone to make us sick, then it's also possible for thought to heal, to revitalize, to make us an exceptional human being. This is exactly why in the meditations that I create, I specifically choose certain frequencies and vibrations that are precisely matched to the actual goal of the meditation. Now, the science behind our vibes, the law of attraction, manifesting, vibrations, frequency, these are huge buzzwords in the spiritual community right now. But does that stuff actually work? Does it really work? And if it does, how does it work? Why is it important to use this hidden knowledge? Not hidden anymore. There are terms that are immediately linked to spirituality, the higher universal power source. However, you do not need to consider yourself spiritual in order to apply the theory of energy into your life. See, as science gets more advanced and discovering new and exciting things, every day we're discovering new things. It's the beginning to prove that the ancient philosophers and thought leaders have been telling us for centuries.